6.25 전쟁이 끝난 후 북한에는
After the Korean War, many people in North Korea doubted at Kim Il-sung's legitimacy. So Kim Il-sung made this promise to them: I will create a world where you can eat rice over pork stew every day to your satisfaction.
한반도의 6.25 전쟁은 이념 간의
The Korean War was caused by the confrontation of ideologies. As it was the time of the Cold War, many nations around the world sent massive donations aligned to their ideology.
당시 유럽의 동구권 사회주의 이념을 지향했던
Communist countries in Eastern Europe helped North Korea, whereas free democratic countries helped South Korea.
이 때문에 북한에는 막대한 양의 후원금이
Because of this, enormous amounts of funds began to flow into North Korea. Kim Il-sung made it his priority to use the foreign aids to provide food and housing for North Koreans. Even though he failed to follow through his promise fully, he succeeded in providing at least corn meals for his people.
김일성은 국제사회의 이 지원을
But Kim Il-sung didn't tell his people that he was using foreign aids to sustain North Koreans. Instead, he took credit for the international aids. He claimed that his excellent abilities were the source of their provisions. North Koreans who were on the verge of death by starvation, they didn't have the presence of mind to investigate into Kim Il-sung's claims. Pursuing justice was akin to a luxury for them. No one held Kim Il-sung accountable simply because he provided food. Rather, for North Koreans, Kim Il-sung was the savior who rescued them from hunger and poverty. Then Kim Il-sung made another promise. He promised that North Korea belonged to its citizens. As the problem of food shortage was somewhat resolved, they believed that the second promise would also be fulfilled.
하지만 김일성은
But Kim Il-sung was never sincere about the promises he had made to North Koreans. He didn't deserve to take credit for their food. His governing didn't solve their problems precisely because foreign aids were essential to North Korea's formation and sustenance. From the beginning, his goal was not about establishing a democratic nation, but to consolidate all the power to himself.
인간은 언제나 생존의 일차적인 문제, 먹고
The first priority for humans is to solve the problem of food, clothing, and shelter. Without these, humans cannot pursue the world of their mind and spirit. In short, we cannot pursue a life of independence, creativity, and rights unless the problem of sustenance is solved.
김일성은 북한 국민들을 영원히 먹을 것과 입는 문제에
Kim Il-sung wanted North Koreans to live in a state of perpetual search for food and clothing, to lock them into a system that would reduce their human capacity to animalistic dependence on physical needs.
그렇다고 배불러도 안 되는 공급 시스템을
The national rationing system was just enough to sustain their lives, but never fully satisfied or gave content. Their stomach should be just satisfied enough to perform labor, so the rationing amount was strictly limited. Daily portion for an adult was set at 700 grams, which was slightly below the amount to reach full satiety.
이 때문에 북한에는 독특한 문화가 하나 있어요.
This rationing rule was to be strictly adhered. Consequently, a unique culture emerged. Kim Il-sung made his birthday a national holiday. On that day, Kim Il-sung distributed a bag of candies and cookies per child, 500 grams of pork meat per person, and 1 bottle of cheap alcohol per man. Not fancy liquor, of course, just regular liquor. And the students were given school clothes and supplies. Every time these were distributed, the entire people became enthusiastic. Even though they were only receiving what they were supposed to receive, they had to bow down before Kim Il-sung's picture, and students had to pledge their allegiance to him. Every citizen had to render their gratitude and pledge their loyalty to him, even to the point of offering their lives.
국민들은 김일성을 우리 민족의 아버지
People had to address Kim Il-sung as the father of our nation. North Koreans still don't realize that all these things were a part of their basic rights, not the gracious gifts from a single individual. Kim Il-sung had taken away all our rights, and if he were to give them back even a little bit, they would have felt obliged to render overwhelming joy and gratitude to him. But if anyone showed the slightest doubt and complained about the regime, he was brutally punished. Japan used sword to enslave Koreans and to obliterate our national consciousness. Kim Il-sung used food and clothing to destroy our mind and spirit. This is how Kim Il-sung became a god.